Now, Arvind Sanger from New York, and we've got Vandana Hari as well joining in from Singapore. Good morning to both of you. Vandana, let me come to you. All it took was 2 phone calls. Trump trying to broker a deal between Russia as well as Saudi Arabia, and look at the magic that it's done to crude prices. Sustainable, you think?
Good morning. Magic, perhaps, is what Trump is trying to convey, but the market is not entirely buying that yet. You know, for such a huge deal, such a phenomenal turnaround by Saudi Arabia and Russia, the oil market really needs to hear it from the horse's mouth. And what we have heard yesterday, while Saudi Arabia, the official news agency, said the kingdom has called for an emergency OPEC meeting, there weren't too many confirmations of that from the other folks. And we had the Kremlin spokesman saying that there had been no telephone conversation between Putin and MBS, as Trump claimed in his tweet. So there's a bit of doubt, skepticism in the oil market, which is why you're seeing crude starting to pair gains today. I think the next few hours will be very critical in the market. Mostly the market will be looking for direct, unambiguous confirmation from the two main parties involved.
Arvind Sanger, A, the correlation of crude and equities, and B, it seems that the market seems to have priced in all the bad news. I mean, US did not even react to the jobless claims.
Well, I think these are complicated times. These are tricky times, and I don't think one can write the final chapter on the bear market yet. Clearly, crude was the good news today. Count me as a huge skeptic on anything magical happening like President Trump claimed, because the competing interests of the different parties are extremely divergent, and short-term crude price weakness is to the benefit of Russia and even Saudi Arabia. So I don't think a deal is in the works. I think this thing will fall apart in a few days. And as far as the market is concerned, clearly it's struggling between two things: huge fiscal and monetary support, but a coronavirus epidemic, which seems to be getting worse. But I guess there are lead indicators. You know, the Italian cases are now starting to taper off. US is following this same trajectory with a 2-week lag, probably. So there's that hope. But I think waiting on the other side is the whole question mark of how quickly one can unwind these severe restrictions or lockdowns or travel restrictions, and what are the risks of it reappearing. And then again, if we get it away for a while, what are the risks of it reappearing in the fall? So I'm not sure that the markets are out of the woods, and I'm certainly not counting on declaring victory anytime yet.
Why are you sounding skeptical, Arvind? Some would say that in this kind of a market, logical economic sense should prevail, because if crude stays at $30 or sub $30 for a long period of time, it's going to hurt everyone, including Russia, US, and even Saudi.
Yeah, but if it stays at $30 for 6 months, it will dent Russia's reserve fund that they've set up, but it'll not kill them. It will just hurt for 6 months, and then it'll be fine. But it'll destroy a lot of the expenditure and the spending in the U.S. Shale industry. And the problem for both Russia and Saudi Arabia has been shale has been growing faster than global oil demand growth. And therefore, there was 2 alternatives. One is that OPEC and Russia keep cutting and cutting and cutting to make room for shale to grow and grow and grow, which is a path towards basically them ceding huge amounts of market share, or taking this action now and once and for all getting market share back on a meaningful way for several years from shale. And I think they've made the rational decision. And I don't think there's any reason to declare victory after 1 month. So Russia, there are so many sanctions by the US on Russian oil industry. Why does Putin feel compelled to do a favor to the US oil industry when no sanctions have been removed on Russian oil industry and major Russian oligarchs. So I just don't see the reasons for Russia to do U.S. shale any favors.
Okay, Vanda, are you on the same page with Arvind? You think are you skeptical about the deal going through, or you think that the pressure what United States could exert is going to be a game-changing move?
Okay, so I'll just separate this into two parts. Has the U.S. been lobbying Russia and Saudi Arabia frantically, and whether they're willing to reconsider and come back to the table? I think that all is very believable. Whether Trump's claim that they are ready to sign on a 10 to 15 million barrel per day cut, I'm extremely skeptical, as I believe the oil market is slowly starting to be as well. But the other part is this. Look, 2020 is shaping up to be a year of black swans. And I would not rule out the U.S. doing something. Now, does it actually join in the OPEC, non-OPEC alliance, as a full-fledged non-OPEC contributor? It's hard to say. But does it offer some sort of a carrot that allows Russia and Saudi Arabia to put aside that feeling of burden and pain that they should be doing all of this to throw shale a lifeline? That could just happen. Will it happen overnight? Are we on the cusp of that happening? I highly doubt that. It will take time.
Arvind, sure thing. And like you said, as of now, we just need to hear it from the horse's mouth as well. Arvind, say that there is some more headway made to the actual comments from Donald Trump. Do you think if the producers actually do decide on a cut, given the fact that global demand is collapsing as we're trying to stem the spread of COVID, that this would actually have a material impact?
Clear that right now global demand is down 20 to 25 million barrels per day. Within 2 months at this rate, there'll be no place to store the crude. So a cut is coming, but I don't think it's coming because of magic wand waved by Donald Trump. It is going to come as we find that more and more production is going to have to be shut because there's no way to put the crude. And then there will be a cut. And part of the way the cut will come is that U.S. oil production will, because there'll be no place to store the crude, will be down by 2 or 3 million barrels. Then others will say, okay, now we will do 2 or 3 million barrels. Saudi Arabia throws in 2 or 3 million barrels. So Russia throws in. You've already had Brazil announce some cuts because there's no demand for their crude. You've already had some other countries, Mexico and others, announcing. So you will get it, but it doesn't happen by a magic wand pulled by Donald Trump, but it's going to happen because of the physical constraints of not being able to store crude, because demand is down by 25 million barrels, 20 to 25 million barrels. 10 million barrels is not going to do it. So therefore, we are going to need supply and demand to meet once there's no place to store the crude. And that's coming. It's just not coming tomorrow or this weekend or Monday, because I don't think there's enough elements there for a deal, including any carrot to Russia and any offer from the U.S. as the largest oil producer in the world. How much is the U.S. going to cut? Donald Trump thinks everybody else is going to do U.S. a favor. It doesn't work that way.
Fair enough. Arvind, as well as Vandana, appreciate you taking the time out and joining in with your take on the latest developments that have sent crude oil prices absolutely spiraling. So yes, indeed, it could be a substantial development. Agree both of our guests if there were actually some talks to come through, but still a long way to go given the kind of collapse that we're seeing in demand overall.